Let's start recording. So I will just try to build this currency like list. So the base is USD. So we will show like there is Bitcoins. So we will select like some currencies. Say for example DKK and stuff. And we will just like show them from USD. That's the thing. So the basic idea is just to show you how to do like API requests and stuff from React. Because now you know React and you know how to do API requests from Node and stuff. How you can kind of use that. Because that's maybe it will be like the big thing in your kind of project. Fetching a lot of data and stuff. Okay, so yeah. So we have app. I will just build a component called currencies list. Okay. From currencies list. Okay. We create new directory. Let's say currencies, just directory. So we can group all the functionalities related to currencies and stuff inside it. Maybe I will have just one file, but that's enough. So now we have. Okay. Let's say import import React from React export default. I have the option to use either class or function. I will just use a class. Okay, class currencies list.
Is that because you don't choose states?
No, I just like decided to choose that. But now you know when to choose that and when to choose the other one. Okay? Why you are not following this screen? Why you are following? Because Lord, you are there is like something there.
No, I discussed the
noise.
bookstore.
Yeah, noise. Okay.
Yeah.
So now we have render. Okay. Now we need to display currencies, but we don't have currencies. We have an API, and the API contains currencies. Okay. So first thing, I will just put const API key, just to put my API. It's dangerous to put API keys here. Every time I forget like what to. That's nice. The opposite, like code, the opposite one. Yeah, doesn't matter.
Yes.
Yeah, because I'm using like different keyboard like work, and here I'm using the Mac keyboard. It's a disaster. It's a disaster, like really.
Oh.
That's nice. That's nice. That's nice. That's good. I should continue doing that. That's really good. Instead of
copy pasting them.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, so we have an API. Now we need like a list of currencies, so we need to fetch them. Generally, when you need to fetch data, you just do like you use fetch before, I guess.
Yeah.
You know fetch?
No.
Yes.
No?
Yes.
I know what it is. I haven't used it.
React.
Have you used it? Yes. JavaScript free.
We have used in JavaScript, not in React.
But React is JavaScript.
Yes.
What's the difference between React and JavaScript?
Yeah.
We have been doing set this and set state and stuff. These are functions.
Difference is
Where to put it?
our
Maybe.
React teacher is you, and our JavaScript teacher was another. It's different.
But we have been teaching the same thing, which is JavaScript.
Yes,
So you know how to use fetch to fetch data,
Yes.
but the problem with React, where to put the fetch, where to fetch data. That's why what you should know, like to use React and fetch data using React. So yeah, so we have like this here. Generally, we need to display the data here. So generally in React, when you need to fetch data, it's almost like kind of form or something, because you need to put it somewhere and the data will change because you are fetching it. You don't have it. So what's the best way to store this data? Is it like what we should use, like if we have data that kind of change and we don't know exact state precisely. If the data change and you need, and for example, when the data comes, you need to display the data. When the data when we are fetching data, we don't have the data yet. So you kind of show loading, probably. You know, Facebook or something is loading. And when you fetch data, you show that. So you are rendering based on something. So you use the state. We are not using the state just because it's a dynamic value or we are changing the value. No, because rendering depends on this value. So this is why we are using state. And when the state change, React will re-render. So the best way to put something that we depend on to render our component is the state. Okay?
Is that the same when we take data out from the database?
Yes, because that would also be a request.
Because
That's a request. But don't think about database. Think about REST API. Think about an API.
Okay.
Don't think about data. I don't know. For example, I'm using these currencies. I don't know if it's stored in database. I don't know.
Okay.
Where it's coming from. I don't know. So don't think about database. Use just think about APIs.
Yes.
So yeah. That's the first thing. The second thing is, let's say we have really big application. So the first thing is probably, it's not a definitive solution, but probably we need to put the result of our API call inside the state. So we can check and React will render based on the data that we have. Second thing, if we have really a lot of components, and we have really big application, let's say Facebook or something, you have a lot of different data. You have post data, events data, friends data, this chat and something. You don't want to fetch all the data together. That would be megabytes, a lot of megabytes. You cannot do that because you cannot render until all the data will get fetched. So the best thing is to, when the component needs the data, you just fetch it. You got the idea a little bit? So you wait. When the component that needs the data will be displayed, you fetch the data. And how we can do that, if you remember, how we can know that the component will be rendered or not? Life cycle. We have component will mount, component did mount, component and will mount, did mount.
Yeah.
You remember those? So we will use them. So here in this currencies list, we will say when the component is about, or when the component is done did mounting, it's done mounting, go and fetch the data. So we will say, okay, I will just write hello here. Just do here stuff. npm start or here stuff, doesn't matter. Hello. So here I will do component did mount.
But we
What?
to person Z after CD.
What do you mean?
We track CD and then we did something. That
Because it's WebStorm providing me with all these functions.
So tab.
It's not tab, it just enter.
Okay.
Because here, like, I have a list.
It's nice that they have the description as well.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Invoke ones only. I really like WebStorm or JetBrains. They have this IDE for every language, for Android, for everything.
We use IntelliJ.
Yeah, I because I did Java development before. It's just like amazing. Just
you
nice.
won't go back to this.
What?
After trying
Don't start talking about Eclipse, please. Don't even talk about that. Don't even. It's too bad, man. You're not my friend anymore. you're talking about it. No, but you should not like. You should not talk about Eclipse like anymore. Nah, it's not good. It's not good.
After you try IntelliJ, you won't go back.
Yeah, I understand. I'm just kidding.
Not even that piece, and you won't be using that because IntelliJ is so good.
Yeah, it's just. Component. So we have component will mount and did mount. Component will unmount is for when the component will be unmounted. We don't really need it because we need the data like almost around the mounting. So we have two options: either will mount or did mount. So either we will show the data before mounting, or fetch the data before mounting, or fetch the data after mounting. There is a lot of discussions about that, a lot, believe me. Component will mount vs component did mount Ajax. Where to fetch data? There is a lot of articles. So this is like famous, like it's 93 and stuff. So component did mount is for side effects, adding events listener, Ajax, mutating the DOM and stuff. Component will mount is rarely useful, especially if you care about server-side rendering and stuff. So a lot of developers, and even like I heard about, because if you go to GitHub, Facebook, React, this is the React code. GitHub. I don't know, maybe it will be a little bit difficult, but if you can just read pull requests and stuff. So pull request is like when people from Facebook, they want to edit React. For example, they have been discussing if they will remove this. And there was a library, there was an API called React.create class. And they have removed it. So if you want to see all these discussions, like developers at Facebook discussing that and debating, they do that publicly. So you see like issue, suspender, update, record, like a lot of like weird stuff. Even me, I don't understand anything. Fix small typo in React subscription readme, like these are really. So if you come here, you will see like them speaking and stuff. It's really good if you can kind of jump to the open source and jump to the community as fast as possible. That's really cool. You will not understand, neither me, but it's just good. Maybe you will understand 1 line, 2 lines, something. And if you mention that in an interview or something, that would be really cool. Because they know that you are kind of, you know what's happening. You don't just code like, I don't know, like crazy guy or something. Okay, so yeah. And there is a talk about removing component will mount. Actually, in Facebook, they have been like talking about removing this. So there is like a couple of downsides when using component will mount. So we will use component did mount. Okay. So after the component will mount, when the component is done mounting, we will do something. So let's say console.log API key. Okay. So component done mounting. After mounting, it will just. So here I will fetch the data. Okay. I will do fetch const API key. No, API. Let's see, URL. This is my API URL. Without this. Okay, I will just do this. So here I will do fetch. Now I need that. Okay. Buying a computer or something in Denmark, it's not really good. Except money. Except money. It's really like weird layout, keyboard layout.
Change the keyboard to British.
Yeah, but the problem is sometimes you need to kind of look into
I had
the.
the same problem, and I did for it. And in the beginning, I showed the keyboard.
Yeah.
So now, if you give me just which keyboard are you using? Which language?
The English?
British.
British, yeah.
Okay, yeah, it has to be here. It has to be this.
Yeah, I guess it's there. Yes, it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's there actually. Yeah. Thank you.
Because
Thank
I have the one he has the same.
Yeah.
And we know it's real because
Yeah.
I suffered.
But the problem is also like I'm using different keyboard in my company. So I have 3 keyboards, one home, one and the MacBook.
Yeah.
I don't know. I should do something about that. So here, let's say I have 2 variables. I have the API URL, API key, but before I need to do this because I need to separate them because URLs, you know. I should kind of separate them with this. Yes. That's really important. Thank you for that. So yeah, he said we need the app ID. Okay. So we constructed the URL again. Let's say .then. Let's say data. We will not have the data. We need to call JSON. But let's just try. We're trying. Okay, so we fetch something. So we need to do like this. Then response. Response to JSON. Okay. .then. You know all these steps, I guess.
Yeah.
Nice. So we have now JSON. So we have disclaimer, license, timestamp, base, and rate. Okay. So now I need to use this data in my render function. How I can do that? The simplest thing is to store this data in what? In a variable. I can do like this. I can do constructor. I can do this. Dot data equal, let's say, null. And here I can say this dot data equal JSON. And here let's say this dot data. So it's an object called rate. This dot data dot rate dot. I want to remember how to loop over an object. Use object dot keys, and you loop. So I will do like this. Const rate equal it's just this because rates is inside this data. Yeah, definitely. I'm sorry. The rates it's inside data. What?
What about this stuff? We put that weights. Can you remove this table?
Yeah, exactly. So now I will have all the dot map. Okay, and here we will take keys. Let's say what do you mean by function? What do you mean? What? Yeah, we have a function inside the map, and inside this function we need to remove something.
Yes.
Let's say p JSON. Let's say we have the keys. These are the keys. These are the keys. So we have like here key rate dot key, not keys, key. Let's try. It will be a fucking big error. Yes. Cannot read property rates of none because data is none. Why? Because when we render, we will render. This will run after render. And even if you will render again, let's say this will take, let's say we have really slow internet, okay? And fetching the data here will take, for example, 10 seconds. Or 5, it's slow internet, 5 seconds. And you need to render. Data is not here. You cannot do that. You maybe want to say if rates. Return else return, let's say p loading or no data. Sorry. We cannot read property rates. Yeah. We still have the same error because data is not. So this code is translating to rates equal this dot data dot rates. This is like the same line of code. This and this. This will be transpiled or changed to this. So we are trying to access data. Data is null, and accessing property inside null will cause an error. Okay. Let's say we check if this dot data, if it's exists. Okay. We'll have no data. Okay, this is like rates undefined. Just do this. Okay. Let's say there we have data. No data. We don't have data. And even if we will wait, we will not have any data. So, as he said, this dot data is null. After this will run. But before that, the render will run. We have this dot data. Let's say this will run or that will run. It doesn't matter. We will say this dot data equal JSON. but we need to notify our component that the data have been changed, and we need to re-render. But setting a variable will not re-render our component. What's the optimal way of re-rendering, or which API we should use if you want to re-render our component? Ideas? We are using component did mount here, and we are fetching the data here. But when I get the data, I need to notify my component now. Here is the new data. Re-render. How I can do that? No, it's not you. Neither you or me or him. How I can do that? When I was doing, for example, like new to-do list or something, when I change the to-do list and I want to notify the component, what I should do? I call set state, and set state will change the data and cause my component to re-render. So if you want your component or notify your component to re-render, use the set state. It's the only thing that you can use from inside of the component, of course. So here we will have this dot state. Okay, we have this dot state, and we will say rate. Okay, let's say no. Okay.
Something about data. We
No,
know.
no, rate. I don't really need. I can name it data. I can name it state. It's just naming here. It doesn't matter. It's kind of a variable. You can put whatever we want here.
It's probably better to call it rates, right? Because this rates.
Yeah, exactly. I will store rates here. If we will store, for example, all the data, we can name it data. Yeah, definitely. And here, I will say this dot set state. Set state, what? Rates, which is JSON dot rates, because there is a property inside the JSON called rates. Yes. And now, when we get the response or the answer, my component will re-render. And this function will be called again, and we will kind of refresh the view. If this dot data, so now we need to do this dot state. If rates, we need to comment this. We just do that. We have data. Else we do this. We have the key. We need the key because we have a key here. It doesn't make any sense to render a list of keys because they should be allies here, but we will change that after. So let's say I will put. Let's name it rate here. It's better to name it rate because it's not a key; it's rate, and the key will be unique name of the rate. Okay. So you can see it's really slow here. No data.
And it's changing all the time.
No, it's really fast. It's really good. No data and disappearing. Why? Because we render for the first time, no data. After that, the answer will the API call will kind of resolve, and we will fetch. We will show the new data. Okay. Is it clear how to kind of do that in React?
Is that because it's already saved in the graph?
I don't think so, but probably this is like optimization by Chrome or something. Yeah, maybe it's because of Chrome or something, but we are not saving anything here in cache. But maybe it's Chrome optimization. Yeah, it's not really our thing to care about. So we have like rates here, a lot of rates. So let's say rate. Let's say here rate. and we have all the currencies here. Is it clear? A little bit? You are looking at me. There is no code. There is no code here. Like it's only a bird and stuff. There is no code. Oh, okay. So, any questions? Just ask me why I'm putting this here. It kind of makes sense why we are fetching the data inside component did mount or not. Why I don't do this? Just fetch the data outside of the component. Because the first thing, if I will fetch the, let's say I have a lot of data, I will fetch them all here, but how I can store them? How this component can refer to this data? How we can refresh the data? Okay? So, let's say we will add refresh, but I will just put div here. We'll put UL. Okay? And here we'll put ally. Clear? And we will take just say const white list. Let's say currencies white list. Okay, so I will just show specific currencies. So I will show, of course, it's Denmark. BTC. No, the Swedish. We cannot mention DKK without the Swedish currency. It's really S S E E K. Ah, E. Okay. Sorry, like when you said E, because in French E is
SI.
so it just. I'm sorry. I'm confused between French and English. So we have. We already. It's what? Yeah, for sure. Expensive stuff. Let's say. Oh, the Algerian dinar. It's just bullshit, but we will include it here. It doesn't count. Yeah, let's say. Canadian. What? Oh no. we should remove like the Algerian and the Syrian like currencies. It's not really good to include them with this.
Yeah, but actually no, the Algeria is much higher than you see.
No, that's not true.
Say for USD.
It's like these currencies are kind of the rate between USD and these currencies. So we already have kind of USD. Okay. So USD should be Y. Yeah. You forget euro, the most important currency. We should put it first before DK. Oh, let's put it after DKK. Should some respect for Denmark. It's like I'm behaving like politicians now. Put this after, put this first. Trump would never do that. He will, USD first. But it's between this and USD. No, let's put it first. Okay, so now when we will map, before mapping, we will filter. Filter and take just the exactly. So we will say here we'll do this. Yes. So we have rates, or do we have just one rate? So this rate, you can remove parentheses here, and say currency whitelist dot includes. You remember this includes? Check if this like rate. Okay. After that we can map over the filter. And we have just the list.
But it showed differently.
Yes,
I guess.
because it's an when we take them here,
Yeah.
it's not really in the order.
Yeah.
So
You can apply after filming and you can apply salt.
yeah, we can do sort or something, but it's not.
Yeah.
I think you can do that by yourself. Just JavaScript, come on. You are really good at JavaScript.
That's a really nice way to program. It's like film buttons and add buttons.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's really
You
like.
can even see that when you refresh, it's like no data.
Yeah, exactly.
No data, not really. We can make it a little bit slower, but by using set timeout maybe. So let's say I will take this thing. I will say I'll put it after fetch data. Okay, but it's really important to bind it. Maybe we can pass it to another one. It's better just to bind it. So let's say fetch data. Okay. This equal this dot fetch data dot bind this. So here we can just say here nothing will happen because no data. Sorry, because we are not calling this function fetch data. So here I will call set timeout. After 3 seconds, let's say 2, we call this dot fetch data. One, two, ish, yes. So you can see.
You reply it? Why?
Why I did bind it?
Yeah, because you're not using it in the run.
I'm using it in set state, in set timeout. And set timeout we call this function, and this would be the global object,
So as
depending
soon
on.
as we just use it somewhere else,
Yeah,
even if it's render a function or something
yeah,
else, then
yeah, exactly. If you don't know, if you cannot predict what it will be the this inside that function, just binding, and that's better. Just bind. Okay. Now I will add a button. Yeah. Now there is something important. Let's say error false. Okay. Let's say here catch. Let's say catch. This dot. No. Let's say yeah. This dot set state. No. So we say this dot state error. Let's say it's just a message. Error loading the data, which is the currencies. Okay, and here if rates display this, but before, let's say if. So we say rates and error here. If it's error, let's just return like h3 with style. Let's say class name error message. So error, and we put here error. Okay. So I would just go to index and say dot error message color red. We'll change this to 500 milliseconds. So you can just do it 7. And here, let's for example do this. Yeah, I guess because it's. Let's do this for example. Yes. This is like, because even if we remove it, we'd still get a result, but the result would be, oh, change your RPIP, but it's still like a result. Yeah, so here, let's say you miss like something, let's say you remove an S or something. It's loading. When the result comes, catch here we call set state error. Really happy to have it. Okay, but now everything is nice. Let's say now we want to add a button, and when you click the button, you refresh, you fetch the data again. Okay? So we have like a button here. Not searching, but just refreshing the data. So let's say refresh currencies. Okay? On click. Let's create a function called this dot refresh. Or we can say this dot fetch data.
Yes.
Yeah.
Easier.
Easy.
This is why I created like a separate function so we can reuse it. So we can see it's JavaScript, it's not React.
Yeah.
It's using function and stuff. So.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try. But there is just one thing. Now when we refresh the data, we should kind of show loading here, and after that.
We need to set time.
No, what we need, like, before fetching the data, let's say this dot set state. So because I need to refresh the data, so let's can invalidate the old data and say none. So before fetching the new data, let's remove the old data. See, it's.
Yeah.
But if we do this, okay. So now, and you say fetch this dot fetch data, it will just set rates null and stuff. It's not really good to do that. It's not really good because, for example, in the first like component did not, we will say set state rates null, but it's already null. But you may say, but it's okay. We can just, because every time when you call this, it will re-render. But we are already mounting the component, and we need to kind of re-render again. That's stupid. Well, now it's okay, but if you have really big application, re-rendering will cause a lot of like bad stuff. So it's better to just refactor the code a little bit. And here let's say refresh data and create a function called refresh data. Okay, and here we call fetch. We do the same thing. Okay, but only one thing. Refresh the data is called by button. So this would refer to the button. And it will not have this fetch data. Because this should be referring to this. Okay? So now in refresh data we will do the same. But before we will just do this dot set state. Error. If there, for example, let's say there is an error, there is no internet, and we want to refresh the data, we should remove the error because we are refreshing the data. Okay? Let's say just error now instead of false, because the opposite of false should be true. So null, and also the rate should be also null. Refresh data, no data, sorry. Refresh data, no data, sorry. Let's say, let's cut the network. Offline. Refresh. But it's offline. What?
When it's cached,
Yeah, something like that. Let's do what? I don't want to mess with my Wi-Fi. I'm sorry, I cannot do that. Let's see. Offline. Just a second. Okay, I will do that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Refresh. Still
Yeah.
in the network.
Oh.
Yeah, disable cache. Yeah, thank you.
And then try to.
Yes. So now, no data. But
what does cache mean?
cache mean, like, for example, when you do a request, and it will be kind of cached, Chrome will cache it. So if you do the same request at the same time, or there's like other components or other parts of your application doing the same request, it will try to serve that from just your computer because it's already has the data. So we'll not go over the network and fetch the data again. That's the cache. It's not just about fetching data, it's about everything. Let's say you have really like complex calculation. For example, let's say you have a game, and in a game there's like a lot of calculations and stuff, and an object is moving. So you cache the calculation. So when the object next time will move again, you just like, without doing all the calculation, you just store the value and you reuse it again. So caching is like caching. بتخبي يعني.
And it's saved in the memory. So if you restart your computer, it will be gone. But when you
You can cache in database.
You can.
You can.
Of course you can, but
It's not really related to memory that much.
But you can also say that state in components is cache. Because that's like a local thing, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
precisely. Yeah, that's really good, like it. But only there is one thing here. We need to kind of move the refresh button outside so we can refresh even with errors. Because that's the point. We need to refresh in case of errors. So let's go to here. We have data. So
you should just move it outside the if breaks.
yeah, but we are returning here inside. Okay. Hello.
You met me before, right? Yeah. So we're gonna do another game for the Easter holiday. Some small exercise.
Nice. We are talking about games and caching now, so that's really good. That's really good. Like you just entered like with games and stuff.
Well, we're gonna do it in 10 minutes. So then the guys from Class 4 are also gonna come over, and then Naeem's gonna explain it to everyone at the same time because they can also do it. So we thought we'll give it to everyone.
Yeah. Okay. Can you give us just 5 minutes?
Yeah, exactly.
5 minutes. Just give me 5 minutes.
15:50. We start with the game presentation.
In 15 minutes?
Yeah, something like
Okay, nice. That will be super cool actually. Okay, thank you. So because now we have like common chunk of UI for all these things, we can just include it here, but it will be like so. The thing is, I will just put it here. So here instead of we will have the div. So we have a bigger div. Return div. Okay. we have div, and so here, depending, we have the button. We have the button. Let's say here we have another div. Here we do. We can say if it's an error. If it's an error, we're under this.
You do true and ampersand.
Yeah,
Then you have
that-
open and runs.
actually that's even better. That's even better. So you can say error and also it's not an and at all. Error and this. That means if this is true, you know, like short like evaluation. So if this is true, this also should be like true. So we also jump and evaluate this. But if one of the sides is false, so if this is false, we don't need to evaluate this because and needs both of them to be true. So JavaScript will just jump this line. If this is false, JavaScript will not execute this line because it's not worth it. One of the sides it's false and needs both of them to be true. Let's just jump it.
The question is why check for that.
Check what?
Yeah, that's because the last part is all is that thing that's going to be printed. So we don't really check it. We just say, okay, if error, if that you mean the error thing, or do you mean the
And some.
Yeah,
I understand it says if this is true, this will continue.
yeah.
I don't understand the last part. I mean, putting the last part there.
That's
Yeah,
it.
well, you check the H3, right?
Yeah, I see there's a
H3, right?
I see there's a graph, like the last thing is whatever's going to be printed. So if you put error and, then it's going to, okay, this is false, okay, I'm not going to print this, but if it's true, then it's going to continue to the next one, and that's going to be the last one, so that's going to get printed.
Alright.
So that's why when it says error and class name, then if there's an error, then the result of the curly brackets is going to be the H3 class name, and if there's no error, there's going to be nothing.
Alright. Okay, let me see.
It's like this. Just a second. Let's say true and alert test. True. So it will execute true after that alert test to check if alert test is false or not. Because if the first side is true, we need also the other side to be true. But let's say
And that's because alert and create a lot of these things they return true, like they return something right. So
Yeah.
alert returns something, for example. So it's true, and then it's going to be executed.
The last part.
let's say
will
false
not
here.
be false.
What?
The last
No.
part will not.
No,
It doesn't matter if it's false or not. It's not really for us. We are not checking if this true and true do this, or if this true and this true do that. We are
the first one.
we are checking the first. If the second is true, do this. That's the hint. So let's say you say false, it will not do anything.
Yep.
Because JavaScript will say it's an and. So both of them needs to be true. Let's check the first. It's true. Now I need the second part to be true. So it will execute the second part. But for us, it doesn't matter if the result of the operation is true or false. For us, is the execution flow.
Yeah.
If the first one is true, is false. If the first one is false, we don't need to evaluate the second part because even if the second part is true or false, it doesn't matter.
It's a bit like writing if false, curly bracket alert.
So yeah. And now this is a little bit problematic because we need an else statement. So I can do it in
Maybe you can do an upraise.
exactly. Yeah, I'm trying to do that. It's a little bit complex. So if not rate, if rate is false and not errors, and yes.
Yeah.
So if this is true, it needs to this true, these two other like conditions should be true. JavaScript will check this. If it's false, we just like go away. If it's still true, we need the last part to be true. Let's execute it. And when JavaScript will execute this, it will show something, and at the end it will be true or false. It doesn't matter. We are more interested in how JavaScript will execute things more than. Let's remove the
I
offline.
think it's nicer to have this is the case, do this, instead of having is this the case, question mark, do this, and then do this.
Yeah,
I like
definitely.
that
It's really separate. Yeah. And you can think about it like in a kind of easier way. So we have like here, you can see. Refresh, no data, sorry. Refresh, no data, sorry. Let's do offline. Refresh, error. Refresh, error. Refresh, error. Let's back online. We have to take. So it's kind of a sophisticated way of loading data, kind of. We're covering errors, loading state, and result.
It's like all the building blocks right now. The only thing you kind of need is to post something with fetch, like post a request.
Yeah, precisely.
But then now you can get data and you can store data, and then you can visualize data.
Exactly. You can say, for example, like we had the to-do application before. So you type something here. You remember the to-do application? You type something, and when you say add, it will just add it here into the list. You can say when you add a button, when you click the add button, you take the text from the state. Instead of doing fetch here with this, you can do a post actually, and put it in your database, and that will be kind of your challenge for the next week.
Otherwise, you can also say add this to my whitelist.
Yeah, maybe, but that's not really asynchronous. That's not really fetching data because the array is here.
But if you had the array in the database and you had to use them,
Exactly. If the array is inside the database, yeah, maybe.
like you've got companies buying currency, for example.
Exactly.
One of them had a
Let's say-
list of what they were interested in.
Let's say Danske Bank or Nordea, they have like supported list of currencies, and when you open the mobile app, let's say,
But I also think that the missing part about frontend is that so you can have data from currency from one point, and then you can have what kind of currency from another point.
Yeah.
And then everything comes into React, and you just kind of filter with this data.
Exactly.
Take out this, and then you show it.
Yeah, let's analyze, for example, you know this application?
Yeah.
Or let's say mobile pay.
Yes.
So here, mobile pay is loading. I don't know, I will try to do it again. The internet is fast, damn it, so mobile pay.
That's not something you
Yeah.
very long.
So let's say it's, please wait, it's loading data. Now when you say this, it's fetching all these data, and this is like a list. So this is like using, there is like one component, and this component it has like a lot of lists, items, but you don't have any items. So when this component will be mounted, let's say this component called activities.
So I was looking for the exercise of the game design.
It's going to be here soon.
It's gonna be here?
Yeah. I guess.
Okay,
Yeah, she told us that.
you are coming.
Okay, yeah, well, welcome. so
Wait.
so there's a component here called activities. When this component will get mounted, we will fetch the data. We will get a list of my friend, for example, Alberto, with how much did I send him? Did he send me or so let's say the name, send me or send him, and the amount. That's the API. And you get an array of that. And you loop show the array, and you just show it here. So even really complex application like mobile pay, you can build it in 1 week or less. This is really simple application. Of course, the difficult part is the error handling and the integration with the banks. But it's Danske Bank app, so they have their own like stuff inside. But you can see that it's
In principle,
just a second. And here, let's say, when you type, for example, like you want to send 25 krona, you type the number here. You type the number here. Be quiet. Be quiet.
This here.
Yeah, of course. Just be quiet. So when you type like something here, let's say Matilda. I want to send 25 krona to Matilda. I will say next, and I can swipe. When I send the money, they will just add it to the list in the database. So we are fetching the data, now we are posting data, adding the data. And here, how I can, I need to go back. Done. So here, and you will see it here. So it's really simple, just adding money to a database and...
If you want, I can give you my number. You can...
No. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. So, hope you got the idea behind this. Any question or something? Is it clear about fetching data? Clear or not? So let's stop.